Hello and welcome friends. I welcome you all to the second day of our live mains answer writing discussion session. I am Sarthak Singh and I have cleared the civil services exam twice in 2022 and in 2024. So by now we have understood the importance of answer writing in order to clear mains and in order to get your name into the final list. So इस mains के लिए those of you are appearing, those of you who want to appear in the future in 2026 should prepare for this mains as if you are to appear in the August in the mains exam, and for that we are doing these answer writing sessions. You can send your answers to me for the questions that we are going to discuss. You will get to know some templates which you can implement in the new questions that appear in exam hall. You would be able to generate new points on those questions which are सरप्राइज और द बाउंसर्स फॉर मैनी. तो बाउंसर्स वाले क्वेश्चन के लिए आप लोग नए पॉइंट्स जनरेट कर पाएंगे. उसके लिए वी वुड बी डीलिंग विद सर्टेन काइंड ऑफ रेडीमेड टेम्पलेट्स एंड पॉइंट्स. सो राइट आंसर्स एज मच एज पॉसिबल and after you have written you can send them to me on this mobile number. I will evaluate your answers, give your feedback. So please note down this number 9878444044. So this is the number. Note this down, save in your phone, and you can send your written answers to me. We would be discussing your answers. Any important point that you mention in your answer that would be discussed here. And this is going to be a platform for peer learning where we would learn from the strengths and weaknesses of each other, and gradually you would realize that by the time mains is there, by the time we reach the 20th of August, you would be well versed with the nuances of answer writing and your answer writing skills would develop multifold. So live mains answer writing this discussion day 2, and today we are going to take up the first question. Is I have already written this question for you. This is the question on post independence in the topic of GS1. तो GS1 के पोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंस टॉपिक से ये क्वेश्चन आपके सामने है, एंड दिस इज अ previous year question that was asked by UPSC in 2020. So this is the question: assess the main administrative issues and social address the main administrative issues and socio-cultural problems in the integration process of Indian princely state. 10 marker question from 2021. So this is a PYQ of UPSC from post independence India. There are chances that one question or two questions from post independence can appear in the upcoming mains. So that's why this question: main administrative issues and socio-cultural problems in the integration process of Indian princely states. So सबसे पहला काम जो मैंने आपको कल बताया था कि हमें कोर डिमांड ऑफ द क्वेश्चन एड्रेस करनी है. सो in questions in UPSC mains, generally there is a core demand and there is a non-core demand. So core demand will form the core of your answer, and to highlight that you have understood the question in its entirety and you understand the concept, you will also have to write certain things in the box in the form of flow chart which take up less words and less space but addresses the non-core demand of the question. So assess the main administrative issues and socio-cultural problems in the integration process of Indian princely states. The tail word given here is assess. So you have to assess these administrative issues and socio-cultural problems. Now we are talking about the integration process of Indian princely states. So हमें इंटीग्रेशन प्रोसेस में आने वाले इश्यूज और प्रॉब्लम्स को डिस्कस करना है इस आंसर में और आंसर को लिखते समय. सो द कोर डिमांड विल फॉर्म द सब हेडिंग्स दैट यू आर गोइंग टू फॉर्म इज द एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव इश्यूज एंड सोशियो कल्चरल प्रॉब्लम्स. सो स्टार्टिंग विद द इंट्रोडक्शन एज टू व्हाट हैज टू बी रिटन इन द इंट्रोडक्शन, मेन बॉडी एंड कंक्लूजन. इंट्रो, body and conclusion. In 10 marker question, generally when we are short of time, we ignore writing conclusions. We are short on time, we are short on space at times, but that is not what is needed to be done. We have to write conclusion in each and every answer to get good marks, because conclusion, body, introduction, every aspect of the answer has their own weightage when the examiner is checking a answer copy. So in case you falter upon writing the conclusion, please start writing it. And if you feel any difficulties in making conclusion for these questions like history or geography, so you can very well contact me on the given number, and I would tell you certain ready-made conclusions and introductions which can be used for your exams, which I made for myself, that helped in reducing the time that I took to write the answer. So when you have ready-made introduction and conclusions, you will writing good answers than others, because now you have the time to think on the core demand of the question. So body, as we know, will form of administrative issues and socio-cultural problems. Socio-cultural problems. So this is a 10 marker question. Generally what we do while writing answers is, in 10 markers try to form 2 subheadings at least, and in 15 markers try to form 3 or 4 subheadings, so that you can generate additional points in order to fill the required space that is given to you. So you have to give the feeling to the examiner that every aspect of the question has been touched upon, including the core demand plus non-core demand. So understanding this core demand and non-core demand would be possible when you do answer writing religiously for the upcoming 2 months, and thereby when we discuss this again and again, the way of writing answers, you will get them evaluated from me. Then you will understand the importance of answer writing, and I would be face to face evaluating with you your answers in the PYQ ACE program that is there. So when you get yourself evaluated, when you get the feedback, when you get a credible feedback, because feedback is running everywhere in the market, but you should be getting credible feedback on your answer copy, so that you get good marks in the mains exam, because that has a direct relation with your selection into the final list. So introduction, body and conclusion. As we know, body we have to make 2 subheadings, administrative issues and socio-cultural problems. Now first and the foremost challenge that when we start to write answers we face is how to write introduction. What all to be written in the introduction, because there must be so many thoughts crossing your mind while writing introduction. This clarity of thought, this is being checked by the UPSC in your answers. So when you write introduction, when you write conclusion, you will show the clarity of thought, and this clarity of thought comes with daily practice of answer writing that we would be doing here. So in the introduction, the question talked about these issues and problems in the integration process of Indian princely states. So first we will tell the context in which the princely states were being integrated into one nation, that is India. So intro mein you can give the context of the situation. Context of the situation, that can be done in history questions. So you can give the context or the background of the situations. Background of the situation. There are many ways of introduction. In history questions, the answers have to be introduced differently than they are being introduced in the society questions that we discussed yesterday, and it is different from what we have to do for geography questions or from governance questions or from international relations. So हर एक aspect, हर एक syllabus का जो demand है वो यूनिक डिमांड है बेस्ड ऑन व्हाट द नेचर ऑफ द सब्जेक्ट इज, और नेचर ऑफ द सब्जेक्ट को समझ के आपको आंसर तक पहुंचना, that is required in the UPSC mains exam, that you are going to learn in the daily answer writing that we are going to do. So the context of the situation or the background, that in what scenario the situation was evolving. So integration of princely state, we can write that after the 2 centuries of the colonial rule, India gained independence from the clutches of the colonial power through Indian Independence Act, and the various princely states were being integrated to weave a common nation, to weave a single nation, that is India. So this way, to introduce the background of the situation, you will show that the various princely states were being integrated into India, and India was a newly formed union. Some of you have sent the answer, they have used the word newly formed union that I am able to look at. So yes, newly formed union is a good word, it can be used, and you can highlight the challenges that were there in the unification of these princely states. So next we move on to, after writing introduction, we move on to the main body. So body, you can give administrative issues in integration, and you will put this in the box because presentation also matters in getting good marks. So this is very essential for you to know that administrative issues में क्या क्या issues आ सकते हैं. Now please, those of you who are writing answer, send them to me. I hope you would have written. We have been discussing this from 6-7 minutes. So write answers. Even if you have written bullet points, you can send them so that we will discuss the more points that can be written in an answer. Not just the political issues or the language problems that most of you are writing that I am looking at, but please write many points, like 5 to 7 points in each of these subheadings I would expect from a good candidate to write upon. So first administrative issue is that most of us have already highlighted, is the challenges of political integration. So political integration, what we have seen is the challenges of political integration, since there were different areas having different kind of governance structures. There were certain British ruled areas, there were certain princely state, there were certain independent kingdoms which were given independence by the British, there were certain tribal areas which had their own norms, and you would be adding all of this information under the political issues or political challenges while highlighting that the integration process was a fairly complex process as it had many administrative issues. So there were more than 500 princely states that were being integrated. Next we will write bureaucratic complexity. The bureaucratic complexity that was existing in various political domains in the country, that added to the administrative issues. For example, state like Travancore, Baroda had different structures of governance which often led to jurisdictional conflicts. So जब बहुत सारे different state हैं, over 560 डिफरेंट प्रिंसली स्टेट्स को जब इंटीग्रेट किया जा रहा है, तो उन सब का ब्यूरोक्रेटिक स्ट्रक्चर जो है वो डिफरेंट होगा, और उसको हमें एक धागे में पिरोना इज अ चैलेंजिंग टास्क, और सब में डिफरेंट जुरिस्डिक्शनल इश्यूज आएंगे, क्योंकि सब चाहेंगे कि उनकी पावर्स कम ना हो, उनकी पावर्स को डिमिनिश ना किया जाए. सो देयर वाज अ ब्यूरोक्रेटिक कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी दैट यू हैव टू शो, you have to highlight. And from these different political domains, it is in itself a complex process to form a single entity having a unified bureaucratic structure that India is today. So second point you will highlight is bureaucratic complexity. Next, what else we have to write? Please tell me. Then yes, we can write the boundary disputes. Boundary disputes we can write. Boundary disputes between various princely states we can point out. So, since there were boundary disputes and India and Pakistan were also being demarcated, so that also led to certain problems of administration because the boundaries were not in itself clear. So this is regarding administrative issues. Then there were connectivity issues. Fourth point that we have to write is connectivity issues. Since ensuring connectivity is also a task of the administration, so there were some states which were going to Punjab, but the connectivity to rest of Indian states or rest of Indian princely states that were being merged into the Indian Union, that was being hampered by some areas going to पाकिस्तान. तो कुछ एरियाज जो पाकिस्तान की तरफ चले गए थे उनकी वजह से हमें कनेक्टिविटी में दिक्कत आई अपने ही कंट्री के कुछ एरियाज के साथ. तो ऐसा कहीं ना कहीं नॉर्थ ईस्ट में हो सकता है और जम्मू कश्मीर के कुछ रीजन्स में ऐसा पॉसिबल हो सकता है. सो कनेक्टिविटी वाज आल्सो अनदर मेजर चैलेंज दैट वी विल हैव टू हाईलाइट, that I think is missing up till in the answers that I have seen. Connectivity point is missing. Then there was a situation of vacuum. So there was administrative vacuum. So there was administrative vacuum because the British paramountcy was lapsing and there was no credible Indian government directly in place that could reduce the possibility of riots, that could administer the area. So the dominant status was given to transfer the power to the Indian hands. So you can highlight there was vacuum as the British leadership that was managing the country up till now, they were ending and the new set of Indians, new set of people, they were going to get the powers to rule upon India. So there was a kind of administrative vacuum that happened. जब भी कोई power छोड़ता है और दूसरा व्यक्ति power लेता है, so everywhere there is a certain time period, whether it is of 1 day or 1 month, there is a certain time period where the earlier person has left that power and the later on person, the next person or the successor, he or she is yet to assume that power. So there is a kind of vacuum that exists. Then there was the question of certain states, they had the question of independence. So certain states demanded independence. So the demand of independence by certain states. As we know that Hyderabad, Jammu Kashmir, Junagadh, all of this wanted independent existence, and due to which it created challenge of administration in the integration of princely states. So जो हैदराबाद से related operation पोलो भी हम लोगों ने पढ़ा है post independence में, that also you can highlight that it was a result of administrative issues. So when you write more number of points than your competitors and when you write with me every day, I will tell you more number of points and how to generate those points. So this is the independence of those states, but we should be ready to write answers. If you are writing bad answers, please write bad answers. If you are writing average answers, please write average answers, but the important part is to send them for evaluation on the mobile number that I gave you earlier, so that you are able to improve upon, because feedback is what is missing in the preparation and most of us do not get a credible feedback, and that is why we lack in our mains preparation. So these are the administrative issues. Now similarly coming on to the socio-cultural problems. So here also we will mention 5 to 6 points. So in every aspect, in every sub dimension that we are writing, in every subheading we will write the 5 to 6 to 7 points. Please try to write 5 to 7 points. Some people are also highlighting the certain religious works that the earlier kings of princely states used to do in the administrative issues. That is also a fine point, and that can also be written. Some of you have sent me that. I am able to look at it. So that it can be written. That's a good point, that the religious role of kings was there in the management of certain temples. So this can be written in the administrative issues. Next, what we can write in the socio-economic, socio-cultural issues is that there was a problem of peasant discontent. So peasants were already suffering under the British Raj and on a similar level under the princely states, but when the new Indian Union was being formed, so the socio-cultural problem of peasant discontent was existing there. Then there was certain divide on the religious lines. So there was a communal divide. Since the country was being divided on the basis of a certain religious lines, in various pockets of the country there were riots, there were law and order issues that were emerging due to communal divide that was existing in some areas. So socio-cultural problems में हम लोग the divide of the religion भी लिख सकते हैं. Then there was a language divide. Since the princely state were being integrated into one Indian Union, तो कुछ मराठी स्पीकिंग एरियाज मैसूर के अंडर जाने वाले थे, कुछ कन्नड़ा स्पीकिंग एरियाज मराठी रीजन्स के अंडर जाने वाले थे, एंड दैट सॉर्ट ऑफ लेड टू द सोशो कल्चरल प्रॉब्लम्स कि अब जब लैंग्वेज इतना बड़ा कंट्री एक कंट्री में जा रहा है, सो देर आर बाउंड टू बी सर्टेन disputes regarding the language, because India has a very vibrant various diversity of languages that we had studied in our society, Indian society, the diversity of India. So this language divide, this also created certain socio-cultural problems. What else can we write? There were economic problems, economic challenges. So when we highlight economic challenges, we show that there were certain prosperous states like Baroda, and there were certain not so prosperous states that were being made into a single state in the Indian Union. So those merging of a prosperous region with not so prosperous region, that is also bound to have certain cultural problems, social problems, because of the natural reasons that somebody from a rich country would not like to merge with a relatively not so rich country. So this was a problem that the integration process of the Indian princely states faced. Now what else can we write for this? There were also ethnic diversity. Ethnic diversity. And due to this ethnic diversity, there were certain tribals or certain people, set of people who were left, who found themselves being left out of the mainstream. So this was also a socio-cultural problems, because their customs, their traditions were not being a prominent tradition in the newly formed Indian state. So they have to be given protection, and that was rightly given by the founding fathers through the constitution. So somewhere you will see that the constitution is aiming to tackle all these administrative and socio-cultural problems. So इन सबको distinct करने के लिए ही कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ने इस फॉर्म में, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को इस फॉर्म में बनाया गया जिस फॉर्म में आज वो हमें दिखाई देती है. तो कहीं ना कहीं इन सब का जो है जवाब, इन सब को टैकल करने का जो तरीका है वो हमें कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में से मिलता है. So after writing 6-7 points in each of these subheadings, we can conclude the answer, and you can give a futuristic conclusion or prescriptive conclusion. You can also write about the role of the constitution in ensuring that these administrative issues and socio-cultural problems are taken care of, and the spirit of constitutionalism prevails in the country and in the newly formed Indian Union. Constitutionalism. So ये वर्ड्स आप यूज कर सकते हैं अपने आंसर्स में, जिससे आपको ज़्यादा मार्क्स मिलेंगे, एंड देन यू विल रियलाइज दैट योर वे ऑफ राइटिंग आंसर्स हैज improved. So this is the way to write, and focus on the core demand and non-core demand. When we do face-to-face analysis, given on your answers on what you have written, then we would discuss what more could have been written, or if you have certain best practices, you can suggest it to me while writing the answers. I will also include that, but I think this is the basic, and an addition upon this can be done, which we will be doing when we discuss your challenges, your answers face to face, and finding this core demand, non-core demand, and coming on to this structure of the answer is a purely a game of practice. So when you start writing, you send them to me for evaluation. I myself would evaluate your answer copies, and you would realize the way in which I would highlight the mains preparation is so easy. I myself have appeared in 3 mains, and I have cleared the 3 of them, and I have appeared in 3 interviews in which I secured rank 2 times. So I think mains is a more of a game of answer writing and presentation than just having content. Content many people would have, but not everybody would be able to present the limited content in the answer that is required in the UPSC exam. So what is needed is, you can, when you want to have daily answer writing, you can do that through the PYQ ACE program. When you do it, you will get it evaluated, you will get the face-to-face feedback. You can check the description for the details of the program, and we would be discussing every PYQ like this only, like I am discussing it here. So you will improve in many folds, and from the people writing mains, your answer sheet would be differentiating, and you would get higher marks in the UPSC when you get evaluated in a credible manner. So next question we are moving to is, it is again a question from world history. Since UPSC has asked a world history question in 2024, it is highly likely that a question again will come on world history. So it is probable that this year or next year UPSC might touch upon these areas, because when we have to understand that जब syllabus पुराना हो जाता है, so this pattern has been going on since 2013, and UPSC has now every 3-4 years asked a question on world history. So it is likely that UPSC might ask the question on 2 consecutive years to surprise us. तो UPSC का जो एक template रहा है unpredictable बने रहने का, बाउंसर्स करते रहने का, वो चीज़ वो लोग वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री के क्वेश्चन से एक्सप्रेस कर सकते हैं. So as we know, the level of mains is increasing. So without evaluation, without credible evaluation, you will not be able to get good marks. You will not be able to improve, because you will not know how to improve, where to improve. So in order to get the source for improving your content, in order to get an evaluation, you can connect with me on the given numbers. I am writing the number again: 9878440444. So this is the number. You can send your answer copies. Those of you who have still not started writing answers, please come out of this inertia of writing answers and send your answer copy. We are here, we are discussing, and I am looking at the answers those of you are writing, and this is the question. Please start writing. It is a 15 marker from 2019. So this question can again be asked in a different form, because American and French revolutions are a very important topic in world history, and if you are ignoring world history, then my friend, you are doing a major mistake in UPSC preparation. Please prepare world history, and if you have not yet prepared world history, you can take up these notes. I had made these notes for myself, and now these are available here. You can connect with them. You can take the world history notes. This will ensure that your world history preparation is complete in order to write good answers for UPSC. So take up your world history notes. If you have not taken up, you can connect with me. I will provide you my world history notes, and I had made these notes out of a very good book that was of Norman Love sir. So Norman Love की किताब में से मैंने वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री के नोट्स बनाए थे, that are available here. But what is necessary is we learn to write good answer, and we learn to make our own notes, and we learn to make good use of our own notes in the answers. This is what is required. Explain the foundations. Explain how the foundations of the modern world were laid by the American and French revolutions. So हमें यहाँ पर कीवर्ड पर फोकस करना है. Explain how. कैसे. Explain how the formation, how the foundations of the modern world were laid by the American and French revolution. तो फाउंडेशंस ऑफ मॉडर्न वर्ल्ड की हैं, जो मॉडर्न वर्ल्ड में आपको चीज़ें दिख रही हैं, उन चीज़ों को कैसे अमेरिकन और फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन ने उसके फाउंडेशंस को कैसे डाला था. तो हमें ये देखना, ये बताना है अपने आंसर में. तो ये आपकी कोर डिमांड है कि आपको ये हाईलाइट करना है कि कैसे हमने अमेरिकन और फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशंस में ये देखा कि फाउंडेशंस ऑफ द मॉडर्न वर्ल्ड, नींव जो है मॉडर्न वर्ल्ड की वो डाली जा रही है. नाउ व्हाट इज द नॉन कोर डिमांड. नॉन कोर डिमांड इन दिस क्वेश्चन इज, if you can highlight the non core demand, you can write in the comment section, you can write to me on WhatsApp. I am looking at it. non core demand अगर किसी को समझ आ रही है तो वो बता सकता है. the non core demand is, non core demand from this question that you will have to highlight is certain details about the American and French revolution. You cannot just write the फाउंडेशंस की कैसे मॉडर्न वर्ल्ड की फाउंडेशंस अमेरिकन और फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन से आई थी. यू विल ऑल्सो हैव टू राइट 2-3 पॉइंट्स अबाउट अमेरिकन एंड फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन बोथ. सो आपने एक चाहे तो छोटा सा बॉक्स बना दीजिए साइड में, या एक कनेक्टिंग स्टेटमेंट के रूप में लिख दीजिए दैट अमेरिकन रेवोल्यूशन वाज फ्रॉम दिस ईयर टू दिस ईयर विच वाज फोकस्ड ऑन दिस. इन वट एवर वे यू वांट टू प्रेजेंट योर आंसर, बोथ द वेज आर गुड, बोथ द वेज आर equally acceptable, but you will have to address something related to these two revolutions that is being asked. So next we will look at intro, body and conclusion. और 15 मार्कर में कंक्लूजन आपने डिस्क्रिप्टिव देना होता है, डिटेल्ड देना होता है. उसको ऐसे पासिंग स्टेटमेंट की तरीके से आप नहीं लिखेंगे. कंक्लूजन में भी आपका एफर्ट जो है वो दिखना चाहिए. सो प्लीज टेक योर टाइम, राइट अपॉन दिस क्वेश्चन, गैदर द पॉइंट्स फ्रॉम योर माइंड, देन वी वुड बी डिस्कसिंग ऑन दिस एस्पेक्ट. So the approach has to be that first we have to highlight the importance, that why these two revolutions were so important, that they have laid the foundation of the modern world. So इन दो revolutions की ऐसी क्या importance रही थी जब ये हुए थे कि इन्होंने foundations of the modern world lay कर दिया. So you can write the importance of both of these, importance of American Revolution and फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन. सो यू कैन हाईलाइट द इम्पोर्टेंस इन द इंट्रोडक्शन कि ऐसा क्या था इनमें जो इन्होंने फाउंडेशंस ऑफ द मॉडर्न वर्ल्ड ले किया. बॉडी में मॉडर्न वर्ल्ड दैट वाज इंस्पायर्ड फ्रॉम अमेरिकन रेवोल्यूशन एंड फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन दैट इंस्पायर्ड और लेड द फाउंडेशंस ऑफ द मॉडर्न वर्ल्ड. सो एटलीस्ट ये तो आपके पास होना ही चाहिए. देन अगेन, क्योंकि ये 15 मार्कर है, यू कैन राइट सर्टेन कॉमनैलिटीज, यू कैन राइट सर्टेन कॉमनैलिटीज ऑफ अमेरिकन रेवोल्यूशन एंड फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन टू ले फाउंडेशंस ऑफ द मॉडर्न वर्ल्ड. सो कॉमनैलिटीज क्या क्या हैं, that can also be highlighted in one point. And you have to highlight the modern world foundation and how they are inspiring certain ideas of future as well. So this can also be written after we have discussed all of this. This is the core demand. but we can highlight as a non-core demand what ideas of future these two revolutions would keep on inspiring, that keeps them relevant. So idea of future, if there is a work of some scholar that you are able to remember for your from your optionals, you can mention those works in the point, but this has to be there. And this can all, and conclusion you write a futuristic or the prescriptive conclusion, or you can also compare it with the or you can also show that how both of these revolutions had a lasting effect. So आप इसका lasting effect भी दिखा सकते हो कि ना सिर्फ मॉडर्न वर्ल्ड के आइडियाज को बट आइडियाज ऑफ फ्यूचर भी इन रेवोल्यूशन ने इंस्पायर किए हैं. सो दे सीम टू हैव अ lasting effect on the humankind in the years to come. So this is what we will be writing. So American and French revolutions were the most transformative movements in the history, which were which altered the political, social and economic way of life of the American continent and the French continent. तो आप उसका इम्पोर्टेंस दिखा सकते हैं ये बातें लिखकर अमेरिकन और फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन के बारे में इंट्रोडक्शन में. So what I am speaking, these can be your points for introduction. So these are transformative, most transformative events. There were ideas of enlightenment और कुछ important ideas आप highlight कर सकते हो कि there were ideas of enlightenment, there were ideas of liberty, equality, fraternity, which changed the socio-economic and political landscape of the times. So इन्होंने इतना ट्रांसफॉर्मेटिव पोटेंशियल था अमेरिकन फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन का दैट दे चेंज द सोशो इकोनॉमिक पॉलिटिकल लैंडस्केप ऑफ दोज टाइम्स, which continue to inspire us, which continue to have relevance even today. And then we can move on to the body. So ये चीजें आप इंट्रोडक्शन में हाईलाइट कर सकते हैं. So American Revolution was 1775 to 1783. So these are the years that you will need to remember in this answer. Any answer which does not mention any year of the American Revolution will look like a very lightweight answer which will not get good marks, because when we are talking about a certain event in history, you will have to know the years in order to give the credibility to your answer. तो वो चीज़ें आपको बताना बहुत ज़रूरी है कि किस समय में अमेरिकन रेवोल्यूशन हुआ था, किस समय में फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन हुआ था. So American Revolution and its impact, it was Enlightenment movement which was inspired by some scholars, John Locke, Rousseau, Montesquieu, and there were principles of self-government. Self-government के principles थे. Then there was no taxation without representation. No taxation without representation. So this also was a lasting effect that the American Revolution had given. Enlightenment ideas from scholars like John Locke, Montesquieu, Rousseau. So this can be there. Then there were ideals of democracy. Since democracy was established in the United States, so it was a guiding light for other countries of the Latin American countries or the countries around the world, and the leaders of even third world countries like India took the inspiration from the ideas of American Revolution and French Revolution. This also is a unique point that can be mentioned. So आप इसके ऊपर इंडियन कॉन्टेक्स्ट में भी इन्फ्लुएंस दिखा सकते हो इन रेवोल्यूशंस का इन द इंडियन नेशनल मूवमेंट. So Indian context में at Indian national movement you can highlight these importance of these movements. That will also provide a unique dimension to your answers. Then there are certain constitutional ideas that are there, like separation of powers. So separation of powers is also an idea that originated from the American Revolution. So we have written 5-6 points for the American Revolution. So next we have the French Revolution. So एक impact American Revolution का आप ये कह सकते हैं कि it inspired the French Revolution to for independence or for making the advances for liberty, equality, fraternity. So American Revolution ने कहीं ना कहीं फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन को भी इंस्पायर किया. सो 1779 में हम लोग देखते हैं कि फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन हो गया. 1779 में फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन 1789 में फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन हुआ. दैट वाज आफ्टर दिस 83. सो नॉट 79, इट वाज 89 because French Revolution happened after American Revolution. So one point in the American Revolution inspiring modern world we can also write कि American Revolution ने ही French Revolution को इंस्पायर करा फ्रॉम 1789 टू 1799. सो ये चीज़ें आप हाईलाइट कर सकते हैं. देन फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन it led to the collapse of monarchy and establishment of certain kind of democratic governance. So it highlighted the collapse of monarchy. So ये एक वर्ड है जो लिखा जा सकता है. ये एक कोलैप्स ऑफ मोनार्की एक फंडामेंटल आइडिया है जो मॉडर्न वर्ल्ड तक भी कंटिन्यू हो रहा है. बहुत कम ही मोनार्कीज इस समय वर्ल्ड वाइड कंट्रीज बची हुई हैं जो मोनार्कीज हैं. तो ये एक फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन का आइडिया है जिसने अभी तक हमें लोगों को इंस्पायर किया हुआ है. देन देयर वाज एस्टेब्लिशमेंट ऑफ द लैंडमार्क लिबर्टी, इक्वालिटी, फ्रेटर्निटी. सो लिबर्टी, इक्वालिटी, फ्रेटर्निटी के जो आइडियल्स हैं उन्होंने भी इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल को इंस्पायर किया है. पॉपुलर सॉवरेनिटी का आइडिया दिया है एंड वेरियस कंट्रीज में डेमोक्रेटिक मूवमेंट्स को इंस्पायर किया, फ्रीडम मूवमेंट्स को इंस्पायर किया, एंटी कॉलोनियल मूवमेंट्स को इंस्पायर किया. एंटी कॉलोनियल मूवमेंट्स को इंस्पायर किया. सो दिस कैन बी रिटन. Then there were certain influences in the Europe itself. So यूरोप के अंदर French Revolution influenced a lot of countries to gain independence, challenged traditional monarchy, which eventually led to the rise of Napoleon. So these were the ideas that were there from the French Revolution. So for American Revolution, one more point that somebody has written is the free trade. Free trade, that we still continue with the freedom of navigation or free trade. The World Trade Organization was also set up. So that has inspiration from the American Revolution, and this is a unique point which every one of us should write in our answers. So it is a unique point that has come up. Then for French Revolution we can add the point of patriotism. Patriotism or nationalism that continue to have the inspiration, that continue to have its influence in the modern world. Nationalism. So patriotism or nationalism, that also was a origin from the French Revolution. It cultivated a national identity, reducing the influence of monarchy but having the influence of democratic governance structures. So there were many groundbreaking contributions that have been done by the American and French Revolution. If you want to highlight, we can highlight the ideas for future as well. What are the ideas for future that will continue to have relevance? These are the ideas of democracy. These are the ideas of liberty. These are the idea of rationalist thought, rational perspective. So this all things we can write in our answers to make it unique, to give it a additional dimension. The core demand is the modern world पे क्या influence है French Revolution और American Revolution का. This we have highlighted by writing 6-7 points in each of these domains. We can write ideas for future. This is a scope where you can show your creativity. Use a bit of space for this, but you can show creativity and this will give you certain additional marks. And in every question of 15 marks, try to write something extra or which makes your answer unique. We would be discussing it as we go along the PYQ ACE program. I would be discussing the unique perspective for each and every questions that will increase 1 or 2 marks in each of your questions, and 1 or 2 marks increase in every question will translate to around 30-40 marks increase in a single paper. So from 70 you can definitely expect to go around 110. So now finally we will come on to the conclusion. Write your conclusion in a futuristic, in a prescriptive manner, and tell about the lasting impacts of the French Revolution or the American Revolution that is there. So lasting impact, and they continue to inspire generations of the nationalist leaders. They also had influences in the Indian national movement. They championed democracy, equality, and individual rights. So all of these topics you can highlight in your conclusion that you are aware about that. And also the justice movement or the gender equality movement, this later on emerged from ideas of American and French Revolution. So that is why it is a very important topic and it can be repeatedly asked by UPSC in some or the other form. UPSC has a habit of asking similar domains in the mains exam, so it is very essential for us to know the previous year questions, and previous year questions we are doing through the ACE program that we are doing and discussing. When you do this on a daily basis, you would definitely see an improvement, a gradual improvement. Along with that, I would be evaluating your answers which you have sent to me, and we would be discussing them face to face. So these were the questions from post-independence and world history. So we have taken one question from post-independence, one question from world history. Yesterday what we had discussed was one more important point. Somebody has mentioned the end of feudalism, the inspiration from French Revolution, that can also be mentioned. End of feudalism, the rise of democratic governments around the world, declaration of rights of man. So ये सारी चीजें French Revolution से आई थी. This some of you have mentioned in the answer which I am able to look at. So it is a very unique perspective that has come to us and we can definitely write. We can also highlight the economic impact in form of industrialization. Industrialization was an influence of French Revolution that later on is continuing in the modern world. Even American Revolution maybe you can enter the no taxation without representation, the economic dimension of the point that we had discussed. So these are the points that can be there in the answer to this. We can show that the legacy of these movements are still continuing. And now next question that we are going to discuss is, yesterday we had discussed certain questions on Indian society. So we would be writing one answer on Indian society depending on how well you have understood the concept and how well you know that what had we discussed yesterday. The question is, are we losing our local identity for global identity? Are we losing our local identity for the global identity? Discuss. So this is what is being asked, and this is again a 15 marker from 2019. So this is a 15 marks question from 2019. So this is a question that is asked. This is from society. Yesterday we had discussed about the society notes, my notes which are available in these forms. You can look at them. You can make your own notes, 1-pager, 2-pager notes you can maintain. and what I had made, this has been converted into this booklet which is provided to you, and there I have mentioned the answers directly, the points that can be used in the answer for this question. So we are discussing a broad idea for this. You will write your answer by yourself and then you will send it to me for evaluation. This is something that we would like to discuss in the face-to-face evaluations that we are going to do. So we are losing local identity for a global one. This is an indirect question from a globalization perspective. So we have to write the importance of identity or the importance of local identity. You can mention various phenomena such as globalization that is leading us to have a global identity. So are we losing? First you can mention in where areas we are losing it. We are losing local identity for global, and then you can mention we are not losing our local identity, or rather we are strengthening our local identities. Strengthening local identities. Then the first subheading in the body is going to be where are we losing it. Second is going to be no, we are not losing it, rather we are strengthening it in certain areas. There we need in such type of questions you will need to write examples. Examples you will definitely find by yourself. If you want to reduce your workload, you can use these notes. These have ready-made examples for you that can directly be used. And third point in the body that we are going to write is, third subheading in the body is that how to navigate this change that the global identity is bringing to us. So how to navigate this change? So strengthening global identity or running global identities in contemporary or in parallel with the local identities. So ये सारी चीजें आप हाईलाइट कर सकते हैं कि कैसे हम ग्लोबल आइडेंटिटीज और लोकल आइडेंटिटीज को साथ लेकर चल सकते हैं और एक ह्यूमन सेंट्रिक ग्लोबलाइजेशन इंश्योर कर सकते हैं. So these are the things. There are certain keywords that would be there in your model answers that you would be getting, but write examples with each of the points. Try to write 5 to 6 points in each of these bodies so that you write around 20 points in the body itself along with introduction and conclusion. So in conclusion you can write that in some areas global identity is losing its relevance, some areas global identity is gaining, but in other areas there is a strengthening of local identities. These identities, whether be of caste, whether be of religion, whether be of region, whether be of food habits, whether be of clothing, whether be of music tastes, whether be of dramatics, whether be of web series, you can write all those aspects, whether be of education pattern, whether be of employment patterns, whether be of healthcare services, healthcare patterns to ensure the disease-free life. Everywhere there is a mix and matching of those identities. I have highlighted the dimensions. Please put them in these points and then we would be discussing when you send the answers face to face. We would be discussing it. You can send your answers to this numbers 98878 44044. 98878 44044. You can send your answers to this and we would be having a face to face discussion on your answers. But please try to write answers in the format that I have told you. Use the ready-made templates that I am telling you and write more dimensions in the mains answer. So we will meet again tomorrow with some more new questions. Please keep writing. If you are not writing, you are losing your chance to get selected. Please write as much as possible and please get them evaluated from me as much as possible. You will gain tremendously out of this exercise, that I can assure you. So friends, with this we come to the end of this session. Thank you so much. Thank you.